Welcome to our webcast series. Today we want to present you the power of product configuration, increasing profitability in semi-custom and custom manufacturing. We will also follow up with the second webinar, which is on December the 3rd. The topic is Master Your Order Entry Process from Chaos to Competitive Advantage. At 2020, we really try to focus on creating a software platform that empowers consumers, designers, dealers, retailers, and manufacturers to create and deliver personalized projects. So that means everything from, we call it very often the end-to-end solution. If somebody walks into a store and wants to have a certain kitchen, or if we go for dealers or designers, somebody needs a special office, then we take it from there and use it throughout our platform through the manufacturers to deliver these projects. And the key word is use it on one software platform. I also want to briefly introduce 2020 and some of our locations. Our headquarters is in Laval, Quebec, which is Canada. We have several locations within Canada and the US. We are located also in Sao Paulo, and then we have multiple locations in Europe and also in Asia. Making an integrated end-to-end solution, what does it really mean? It does mean on one side that we have different kind of players in the game. And on one side we have the consumer, then we have the dealers and the designers and maybe the retailers and the manufacturers. So all of these three key players, they need to work on a common basis with each other. And one of the common bases is the product data. It looks like that in certain areas we use parts of this information, and in other areas we use others. But there are a lot of data which will be shared between these key players. And on top of this, not just sharing the data, we also need to make sure that the communication between the three players are in place. For an example, the consumer needs to talk bidirectionally with the dealers and also the dealers with the manufacturer. And then on the other hand, the manufacturer needs to deliver certain product and also information back either to the dealer or the consumer. So today's topic, again, the power of product configuration. And what we see is, we've seen it already in the past, but we see it more and more and more coming, that the customer choice is quickly becoming a commodity in the cabinet industry. So there's a huge amount of personalization right now out there that nobody orders standard anymore. We go away from certain SKUs, and the manufacturer need to be more flexible, and the designers and the dealers are asking for more flexibility on the manufacturers, but at the same time delivering basically in the same manner as it was delivered as it would be a standard order. So how do I increase profitability in a semi-custom and custom manufacturing environment? And as I mentioned before, new technology enables you to offer a broad range of products. You can go faster to the market. You have possibilities of reducing lead times and reducing your errors, in particular on the shop floor side, and at the same time delivering better quality. So you see a little bit about me here. I'm since 15 years in the industry, most of the time with ERP vendors in Europe and also in North America. And my life was basically implementing software solutions in the woodworking industry all over the world. And I came across certain methodologies. And in my new role at 2020, I'm using this, what I've learned so far, to eventually increase the functionalities within our software solution and sync these with the market requirements, which we see out there in all kind of areas and segments. So with that, I jump right into the topic. What is actually product configuration? So according to Wikipedia, it's the activity of customizing a product to meet the needs of a particular customer. We also see very often the wording like product configuration in the same context as mass customization. And the goal is really here to add the customization as late as possible in the process and to provide a personalized product at the end to the consumer. So why do we really care about product configuration? So for starters, consumers' buying habits have really changed in the recent years. It's not only relevant what they buy, but it's also important on how they buy it. And basically, the whole point of mass customization is that customers get more choices, and based on that they get more choices, that they also feel they get more for their money. We know that furniture is fashion, fashion is seasonable, and lately, again, we see that these seasons are growing shorter and shorter, and companies really need to improve for the time to market, releasing new products, new options, and making sure that you don't release anything to the market like it was in the past, like the neocon, you do once a year something, now you have to do something in between, so that when you release something that is not already out of date. On the other hand, mass customization is very data hungry. So think about all kinds of possibilities companies have right now when they offer their products, and combine these, like taking a certain product, a desk, a pedestal, a hutch, whatever you name it, and add some features and options with certain door style, with certain colors, veneers. And if you combine all of these you easily get into the multi-million combinations. And that is not something which can be handled through SKUs anymore. So there needs to be another system in place where you have less data, but the combination out of this less data matches SKUs, for an example. We also know that engineering data, and you probably know this as well, the engineering side and the data related to it will become a bottleneck. And what we really want is, and companies want, is that the engineers focus more on creating new data, like new product lines, new products, than rather focusing on correcting old data. Also, we want to go away from the so-called tribal knowledge. Every company has a lot of knowledge, especially on the shop floor side. And it's becoming more difficult keeping this knowledge and especially transferring this knowledge into new employees. Usually new employees are a younger generation, they don't stay as long as the old ones. And at the end of the day, companies should not really rely on these ones, and rather taking this knowledge of these employees and turning this one into some kind of configuration rules or any other kind of rules within your software solution. We also want to get information on a timely manner directly, let's say, to the machine. Information needs to be accurate, and we don't want to wait days and days until somebody has programmed a new CNC program for the machine to do certain parts. No, these information need to go directly down to the machine or into other work centers. And it is what it is. Software technology is really the only way to manage the supply chain information effectively. I'm a big advocate of Lean, but Lean has its limits. But if you have methodologies within different departments and you use them, and that's really great, but it needs to be a combination between this Lean methodology and software technology. So when we look at the current situation, what we see is there are some information about a drawing, then the engineering department has other information, then somehow we need to get this information into an ERP system or into another software system. So how do we do this? There's usually this barrier, let's say, when we work with Excel files and one department works with one Excel file, one with the other one, or I have a legacy product and I have a little bit of an AutoCAD system somewhere in place, but nothing matches each other really. So what we do is, and this is symbolized here, the little guy here, shooting the information from one department really to the other one. And I'm pretty sure that when I would talk directly to one of you on the phone, then this information or this kind of image is probably right on what's happening today in most companies. I also need to get some information to the guys in the planning and scheduling department. So even here, how do I transfer the information from one to another one? How do I get my costing information, for an example, when I build custom parts, so that I know how can I price everything? And then on top of it, once the quote becomes an order, how many specials do I have there? How many CNC programs do I already have at the machine? Do I have to program something? Can I really do this? And so on. And then the end result is really getting information down to the shop floor. It's not really yelling at it, but somebody needs to control all of these processes and the data coming all together so that at the shop floor, everyone knows on what needs to be built. So in a nutshell, a good solution should really maintain the integrity of the data across the order supply chain from concept to cash, which really means we want to have one single source of the truth of the data, which can be used at the point of sale, on the manufacturing side, in different departments. Doesn't matter if it's order entry, customer service, engineering department, scheduling, shop floor, inventory, purchasing, all of these departments, they all need to rely on the same data. As I mentioned, even if we have the same data, every different department looks different at these data. Information need to be sent directly from, let's say, when an order comes in, we want to break this order down into individual subsequences and feed certain information into different departments, so that even the tiny little detail that the CNC information are at the operator level, where they can scan maybe a board and the CNC program pops up at the screen right away. And obviously, all of this one needs to happen very fast and very accuracy. And I mentioned this one already, deliver the right data to the right person at the right time. So when we look at our information supply chain, I like to see this more like there's a dream, and this dream becomes a design, and it runs through certain departments on the manufacturing side down to the shop floor. We deliver it at the end of the day. So dream, design, deliver. And when we look at this flow, then all of these ones share the same data. It's just a different perspective on how individual departments look at this data. Let me transition at this point in time here to our 2020's product configurator. 2020's product configurator is a class-leading engineering-to-order capability for semi-custom and custom items, obviously including standard items. It's data-driven and object-oriented. What that means is I don't define an object, let's say a side panel, on how it looks like right from the beginning. I just say that I have a side panel, and when this side panel touches, for an example, with a fixed shelf or an adjustable shelf, then automatically the system suggests on how to drill this side panel. I have a little drawing later, which I want to show you, probably easier to explain that. The 2020's product configurator provides a hands-free automation of standard. What that really means is once I have an order in the system, doesn't matter if I change dimensions, if I change anything which is semi-custom, then this part floats automatically through the system. It's not that I have to manually intervene here and make sure that certain components, let's say, of the bill of material have the right drilling, or that I have to manually add routings so that this part runs now a different path through my shop floor. Everything is basically rule-based, and based on certain configurations, I find the right components of my bill of material, I find the right path through my shop floor, I get the right cost, and so on and so on. And it also supports fast customs, which really means it's everything from standard through semi-custom to true custom and even one-off. How are these data connected to each other? So when we look at it, we see that we have certain ways on how we look at data, but there's a common point where the data are shared. For an example, on the product side, it's the way the dealer is configuring the product. On the engineering side, for an example, how to build the cabinet. There are usually more information required than on the product side or the order side. So we need more detail to find out the exact components which I need for the bill of material. And on the process data side, I have everything which controls my process flow, like routings and operations and work centers. When we look at the individual rules and communication which we need, then on one side we have the commercial rules. Commercial rules is everything from customer facing, like which kind of door style I use, which kind of species I use, etc., etc. This combination drives also the price, and based on certain configuration rules, I know exactly if my order is correctly validated or not. From there, we go more into the engineering rules where we add something. I get my detailed engineered BOM out of this with the correct geometry data and also with the correct cost, because I know exactly which kind of raw material I'm using. And once I have purchased this raw material, then the system delivers me right away the cost for this one. On the process rules, we see on how certain parts travel through the shop. So it's not just that I explode a bill of material, but let's say if I have a certain part within my configuration of my product, then it might change the routing, or at least operations within my routing, or the sequence within operations of my routing. So all of this one will come automatically through process rules. And then the last one is basically the machine rules, where we look at processes on which kind of drill bit I'm using, which kind of tool I'm using first, second, and third, how I have to lay out my part, my board on the machine, and so on and so on. So when we look at some images here, for an example, I have a desk, and looking at the pad here on the desk, I have certain different kind of configuration. I have only one product in my engineering tool, which is fully configured, and basically on my configuration, on how I configure it, if it's file, box, and so on, I get a different bill of material. It's just a visualization of this one. So if I select, for an example, file, then this has a direct impact on my side panel, on the side panel drilling. And if I would select, let's say, box, then I would get automatically a different CNC program for my side panel. I have to drill in a different way. So what that means is, if I have standard, and that's probably what most systems can do, it generates automatically a regular bill of material. It generates the routing, which is, almost fixed to the individual products, CNC data, and cost. But where Insight separates from the crowd is really if you do changes, either dimension or product configuration changes, then this is not a standard anymore. It becomes a custom part, not in our case. So what we see is, even if it's a customized product, at the end of the day, the system automatically will deliver the correct bill of material with the correct routing paths in there, the correct adjusted CNC files, and the updated cost, which I have now with increasing labor, maybe if I have a custom part, and maybe additional raw material. When we look at the workflow, then we see the two orange bubbles on the left-hand side, which are on the point of sale side. And then they're talking to the manufacturer. And let's say if I do have a standard, it runs a regular way, as you can see. If I have a configured custom product, it runs a regular way, as you can see. And if I have an engineered custom part, then with the little dots here, then this part is typically not in our product offering in the catalog. So what do we need to get the right quote? We need on one side a drawing, and on the other hand, we want to have the cost. So these information are coming from our standard library, and with the modification I'm doing with this, I can add this directly and easily to my quote to have the right base to make an estimate with including the new customized parts. So how does 2020 Insight add value to your organization? Well, on one side, it allows engineers to focus on innovation. For example, new product line or customizations, then rather than maintaining old data. So by using one set of data, we increase the visibility in all departments. Obviously, we are reducing errors with that. That means we have also less rework orders. And as I mentioned before, increase the visibility. That's also a key part for management to make better business decisions and act in a timely manner. And the rest will basically flow into place. Like, say, reduce the cost, improve margin, and shorten time to market. So what we want to say is say yes to more custom. That means handle more customization within the standard system. This will also allow you to increase your product offering without increasing the amount of products in your database. So it really means going away from your SKU base. Use the same products by adding new options to allow a higher price. And we also see that we should react faster to time to market demands. And we do see less rework and better visibility, and that will improve an on-time delivery. So because of accurate data right from the beginning, you will be able now to improve your product quality. So what do our customers have after they have implemented our 2020 Insight solution? First of all, no outsourcing to lower cost centers like China, and still be competitive in the domestic market. We've also seen when the market was down, they could easily adopt and make adjustments without changing their data structure. They are using the advantage of a very short time cycle to introduce new products or product lines to the market. And they have increased their profits by achieving more with the same cost structure in place. So with that, I want to thank everyone. There's a chat window available for you in which you can submit your questions. I got one question here that I talked about 8 support locations. Where are they located? We have support locations, let's say if we talk about North America, we have one in Laval, Quebec, in Montreal, in Toronto, Canada, and then in North Carolina, we have in the Boston area, in the Grand Rapids area, we have a location in the Cary, North Carolina area, and North Carolina is really our core location for support when it comes to our manufacturing solution. If there are no other questions, then thank you very much for today. If you have any question would come to your mind, you can find information about email addresses or phone numbers on our website. More than happy if you refer to my name, and the email will directly be forwarded to me, and I'm more than happy getting in touch with each of you individually if you have more questions on our solution or any kind of technical solutions or questions in there. With that, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.